Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today what we're going to do is a full in-depth review of the new housing market report software by Reventure Consulting. And if you guys don't know who Reventure Consulting is arguably the #1 real estate YouTuber in the world. As you can see, his channel is right here. Now, earlier this year, he put out the beta version of his housing market report app. So we're really going to dig into that. But first, I want to say, in order to access the data, as far as I know, the cost is $4.99. So a cup of coffee from Starbucks, a small cup, not even a large cup. But the total cost, you guys, is $4.99. Some of you may know that Reventure Consulting for the last 2 or 3 years has been warning us about a housing market crash. And although I don't agree with everything he's saying, overall, I absolutely love this guy. I think overall, he's doing society a service and offering additional perspective of caution that, quite frankly, consumers needed during the pandemic. Having said that, I'm going to do the best I can to remain completely objective during this entire process. And as we go through certain data points, I'm going to tell you whether or not I even think they're important. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the handful of things that I really do not like about his new app. You guys can remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a normal person exploring a new app because I absolutely love housing market data. And if you guys can, please, for real, guys, like this video. Why aren't you guys liking my videos as much? Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, shoot me a comment below. But either way, let's get started. And what I'm going to do is start from scratch to show you guys how to even access this app. I'm just going to go to Google and type in Reventure Consulting. And once I hit search, his website comes up here. Now, when we click Reventure Consulting's website, all I'm doing is going up to services. I'm clicking Reventure App. And then I'm clicking the Reventure app link right here, and it takes me directly to the app. So first of all, let me explain the layout. As you guys can see on the top here, this will actually break this down by state, metro, county, and zip code. So I'm going to start with state because I want to go through this as quickly as possible and then just basically cover as many data points as possible as well. Now, what I haven't really dug into too much are the filters here on the left side. If I want to, reduce these filters and say reduce home value, or say increase home value to only see home value from 362 up, it eliminates the states under 362,000 value. Right now I have this on home value, and these are our data points here on the right. But first, before I go into the data points, let me kind of take you guys through state, metro, county, and zip. As we can see, here's Texas, that's my home state. Total value in Texas is average of 295,000, whereas places like California, you can see here in orange, have an average home value of 728,000. So it's really good so far as seeing statewide data points. Now, when we click Metro, here's what happens. We're able to pin down different metro areas like Dallas or Austin or Houston. So the Metro tool is actually super, super cool. And it allows us to go even deeper by selecting the county. So when we select the county, here's what happens. And you guys can see, if when I zoom into Texas here, it breaks it up into many different areas, not just Houston, Austin, or Dallas. So this is a really good tool if you want to go into hyper local, but it goes into super hyper local when I click zip code. So when I first click zip code, it's going to ask us to put in the metro area. I'll put in Houston right now. I'll hit enter, and look at how much this breaks this up. This is crazy, you guys. It doesn't have every zip code, but look at how this breaks up home value in zip code. It's really, 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 really detailed. I really love the ability to go from state data all the way down to zip code. But again, we'll stick with state data just for the simplicity of this video and so that it doesn't run too long. Now, moving up to the select data point, okay, that's all right here. So first of all, he has 3 categories: real estate, demographics, and premium. And the cool thing is when I click here where it says click to see more, it gives me more categories under real estate. I click here, it gives me more categories under demographic. When I click here, it gives me more categories under premium. Now, starting at the top with home value year over year. This data set is year over year home value according to state. Texas is showing year over year price growth of 4.7. even though Austin is the leading metro area of price decline. So obviously having the ability to go as deep as zip code is extremely helpful. But it's very interesting to see on the West Coast, look at all of the states that are actually year over year negative. Okay, not metro area, but actually the state. Pretty much every state on the West Coast, California, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, all with year over year price decline. Now, also one cool thing is I can hit this tab right here that says table view, and this will come up. So it gives me data sets that are not in map form as well. Really cool feature. Something else that's cool is when I want to click the actual area. So when I click Texas, it actually breaks down data sets for me. And again, understand that this goes to the zip code. We're just in state. So overall, this is going to summarize a group of data, starting with home value growth of 4.7. It also shows us inventory growth of 109%, home values, and one thing that I really love is median household income. So it has all of this laid out here. Here's the chart right here. Now here's home value growth month over month. And you can see that a lot of these states have actually rebounded on the East Coast or the Northeast. Texas, a slight rebound, Florida, a slight rebound, but here, Nevada, California, Arizona, Idaho, Washington, all negative price decline, but on a month over month basis. So again, when I click this, instead of year over year, it's going to now give us month over month data. And I hit view graphs right here as well. And you can see how it's now selected Texas, and I can select various data points as well. So he's essentially giving us numerous data sets with numerous ways to analyze that data, whether it be interactive chart or interactive map. So the next thing we're clicking is for sale inventory. So that's pretty cool as well. You kind of see how many total units are listed for sale. Again, my home state of Texas, we have 68,000 units. That is 109% inventory growth year over year. Now let's select the next data set, which is sell inventory growth year over year. This is something that I really love. So this is one of the data points that I really find valuable in his app. This is telling us how much inventory has even gone up. I really think this is interesting, especially New Mexico, because New Mexico has really high cap rates still. So the fact they still have high cap rates and low inventory really surprises me. But look at this. Texas has year over year inventory growth of 109%. And look at Florida. A lot of people have been waiting for the crash in Florida. With inventory growth of 135%, that's probably why we're seeing Florida start cooling off at the start of 2023. Price cut share is our next data point. As you can see here, it's telling us the percentage of listings in the state that are having price cuts. And again, I can go metro area, county, and zip code. I just am going to stay at state. 21% of listings in Texas have price cuts. Really shocking. In Arizona, look at Arizona. Almost 30% of listings in Arizona with price cuts. Meanwhile, California, only about 14.8% of the inventory with price cuts. What I like here is you can take these data sets and formulate additional opinions on what's happening on a statewide basis, metro, county, or zip code. Next data point is monthly housing payments. You can see when we select that, it gives us the overall housing payments across the nation. Texas being $2,000, California being about $4,500. Next data set is property tax rate. This is crazy to me. So apparently the average property tax in Texas is only 1.74. To me, if I had a 1.74 in my house, I'd be super happy. My tax rate is 3.52. But what was really surprising to me is Illinois had a higher average tax rate than Texas. And also a bunch of East Coast states as well have high property taxes. Nevada only having 0.55%. Super jealous of Nevada. But this is a really good resource if you want to know what the property taxes are in an area you want to purchase or invest in. Another really cool data set, which is building permits. I absolutely love this data set. This is showing us that the number one state for building permits is Texas. We knew that, followed by the number two state, which is Florida. Really like this data set, y'all. But I'm heavily watching new construction building permits, so it makes sense for me. But what caught me by surprise is how many permits are actually pulled in California. So California has 107,000 permits, which is about half as much as Texas. Not too shabby, but what is also shocking, look at Wyoming. Wyoming only has less than 1,400 permits being pulled in the entire state. Very interesting data set. Again, also New Mexico. New Mexico is very, very low, yet you'll see here soon that the cap rate is super high in New Mexico. So could that mean that's in a great place to invest or purchase a house? Possibly. Next is our building permit percentage. You can see that Florida's is actually at 2%. So this is something that's pretty cool if you want to see the building permit percentage. So this next data set is mortgaged home percentage. Basically saying how many houses have a mortgage on it. So what's really interesting is this is actually pretty low. So Texas only has, according to this, 56% of the units that have a mortgage, while as California has close to 70%, just like Utah and Colorado. Very interesting, whereas Mississippi is lower and West Virginia is lower, with West Virginia at 46.71%. He even has a data point of housing units. There's so much data here at my fingertips. To be honest with you guys, I should have made this review much sooner. Wyoming, only 271,000 units. How does the entire state of Wyoming have only 250,000? That's really surprising to me. Whereas California's at 14 million, Texas 11 million, Florida almost 10 million. Here's our housing unit growth rate. Again, if you plan on investing in real estate and you can invest in really any state, I'm finding that this data is astonishingly helpful. So this is saying what state housing units are growing the quickest. And it's actually Utah. So Utah is leading at 10.69% growth as far as growth in percentage terms. This is a sales inventory growth month over month. So this is showing us month over month. And you can see across the nation, there's a lot of declining month over month inventory growth. Now, going into demographics, let's start with population. So here's what it looks like for population. If you want to know what population is, here's a really cool one, median household income. Very, very cool stuff here. Just really, really love this data, you guys. $70,000 average household income in Texas. California average income, $88,000. Florida, only $64,000. I'm telling y'all, Florida is becoming as unaffordable as California. This is also something interesting. This is the median age. So if I went down to like hyperlocal, like zip code or county, it's going to be a lot more interesting. But look at the average home ownership age. Florida being 42 years old, the highest average ownership age being in Maine at 44.7 years old. Youngest being North Dakota looks like at 35.2 years old. This is interesting as well. This is the home ownership rate. Looks like a lot of people in Minnesota are doing good, and in Michigan, not as much in Texas. Only 62.4% of homeowners actually own versus rent. Also, something very interesting, this is the poverty rate. So if you want to look at different poverty rates, you can see very interesting results here. New Mexico having a 17% poverty rate. This is payroll jobs. So this is saying payroll jobs, we have 13 million in Texas, California 17 million, Florida 9.5 million. Very interesting sets of data. Now, I love this. This is the migration total, okay? Thing is with the migration total is it's a little bit lagging. Okay, so the migration is basically based on the census data from 2021. But you can see really, really cool. People are flooding out of California. 217,000 people left California, whereas in Texas, 350,000 people came. And look at Florida. Florida's even worse. 444,000 people migrated into Florida. That's why it's been so resilient. It has a massive migration in. Also interesting, look at Illinois. Illinois surprisingly has lost 110,000 people. Now, this is migration as a percentage of population, and you can really see how Florida's doomed. So 2% of Florida's population was migration, whereas Texas only 1.2, California negative 0.55%. Can you guys see how you can use demographic data and real estate data to really kind of hone in on where it's the best idea for you to purchase and invest in real estate? So again, I'm going to save the things that I don't like about this towards the end, but I did want to acknowledge the fact that you can use this data to really formulate an opinion on exactly what's happening in the housing market. So now I'm going to move into the premium data, and some of this stuff here, guys, it's really amazing. Take a look. So when I scroll down here to premium, let me hit click more. This is some of my favorite stuff about the app. Okay, let's click on the first one, over undervalued. So what he's done here is essentially tell us from an affordability standpoint and a few other things that he's using, how much lower basically home prices need to go to basically coincide with fundamentals. Really cool. And again, I can go to metro area, county, and zip code. But this is saying that Texas overall has another 27% to go down before it even meets fundamentals. Look at Illinois. Illinois about 10.9%. California only 18.9%. That's fair. Look at Florida. Florida, another 30.9% to go. So if you want to get really creative with this data set, look at Montana. Montana's super overpriced. Next data point is the value to income ratio. You know, when I'm looking at this, y'all, this is just so much data. I don't even know if everyone's going to watch this video because I'm covering so much data. And I'm not even going like hyper local. I'm just going on a state level. You know, this is telling us, again, using Texas as an example, that it takes 4.16 of your income to basically meet home value. California, 8.25. And that's why, again, on the West Coast, we're seeing such decline because on the West Coast has the highest value to income ratio. So I want to point out, even though we haven't seen massive inventory increases in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, places like that, we're still seeing significant price decline. Again, unaffordability, migration, and things of that nature. But unaffordability is ravaging those areas. And look at what's joining them, Florida. So Florida's running on up there with the West Coast. I think that's the primary reason we're starting to see Florida decline is because it's just now unaffordable. It's just hit the peak of unaffordability. Another really cool one here, really love this data, housing payment as a percentage of median income. Love this data. That means in Texas, the average household income, 35% of your income goes towards paying your mortgage. Remember what we want to see. Normally people suggest 25%. So normally people are suggesting 25%. That means that Illinois doesn't have much further to go from an affordability standpoint. Now, from an equity growth standpoint, it may have a lot more to go, but from an affordability standpoint, maybe not. That's why this data, so many different data sets are so important. But look at California. Okay, California is shocking. The average person pays 61% of their median household income to their mortgage. That's why it's falling apart on the West Coast. Crazy. Louisiana's at 23%, well under 25. New Mexico, unaffordable for most people at 37%. Montana, 50%, but nothing, y'all, is like California. And look at Florida, 44.76% in Florida. I really love this data set too. I love these premium data sets. This is going to show us how much the states crashed from 2007 to 2012. And I want to point out Texas real quick, because I've said to a lot of people, Texas kind of withstood the last great financial collapse. And we can see that here. Last time, on average, Texas lost only 5.4%. But that's not going to happen this time, predominantly because of Austin. So last time, completely different than this time. I'm saying the bubble is bigger this time. The bubble is more widespread than it was last time. But look at some of the decline here. California last time on average declined 41%. Nevada average price declined 60%. That's why we saw ghost towns in Las Vegas. Imagine for a second a 60% decline. Arizona at 50%, Washington 30%. But a lot of these states around Texas kind of got out of it okay, which I don't think is going to happen this time. Look at Florida. Florida dropped 48.8% last time. Think about it for a second. Imagine your home being worth, and you can see in this chart here, okay, from 244,000 to 125,000. How do y'all think that feels? Now, the last data set we're going to look at is called shadow inventory. So they're saying that basically there's 3.3% of the inventory in Texas is shadow inventory. But look at Florida. Florida apparently has 13.72% of shadow inventory. When that hits the market, when the absentee owned units hits the market, it's going to create massive price decline, especially if there's 861,000 units that are shadow inventory. Think about that, y'all. Think about it. If tomorrow we had that many units hit the market, Florida is toast. In conclusion, that was brutal. I'm so exhausted. I try to get through that, guys, as quickly as possible. Obviously, it would take you hours. You could do hours and hours and hours of research. But overall, what I want to say about this app is it is spectacular. It is absolutely phenomenal. I am ashamed in myself that I haven't used it and referenced it much sooner. Now, a couple things that I don't like about it. The first thing is it's only $4.99. I think it's disrespectful to value the Reventure Consulting app at only, at least in the beta form, right? $4.99. This data, the fact that it's all in one place like this and it's interactive, there's charts, you can go to zip code. I can't tell you how valuable that is, at least to me. I find this app incredibly valuable. Now, I would say the number one thing that I do not like about this app, though, is it's drawing most of the data from Zillow, and it's generally going to be 30 to 60 days behind. So the data that we reviewed is actually in March, and we're already in May. So it's a little bit of lag, but I really feel like that app can be a companion to whatever tools you're using to access live data, like multiple listing service data. Overall, you guys, I think it's phenomenal. The fact that it's worth a cup of coffee is mind-blowing to me. Overall, it really gives us a bird's eye view of the entire housing market. Absolutely love it. Now, I hope you guys got some value, insights, and perspective from today's video. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.